massive ass 5-head that is. Jeez. Jeez. Better not stick any landing lights on it, otherwise I'm going to have air traffic coming all over me. Oh, pause. Pause. But, no, it is. But, yeah, massive 5-heads. Yeah, cue the jokes. Cue the jokes. But I'm here for it. But we're back. We are live again talking about a little game happening tomorrow. Rather little in significance, to be fair. But the fixture itself, the Manchester Derby, not quite the sort of game that you, even if there's nothing really to play for, it's not really the sort of fixture that you turn your nose up and just say, yeah, whatevs, whatevs. But it is Manchester City tomorrow, and for the Community Shield. So, Community Shield settings. I'll tell you what, with how this week has been for Manchester United Football Club, I'm sort of feeling some tension. I'm feeling a little bit of tension. This game we go into from the game that we played against City in the FA Cup. Our squad that we are playing against City with is essentially, at most, 2 players different, or maybe 3 players technically, considering that one of them was ostracised or was playing in Dortmund at the time. But Xerxes and Toby Collier. I think Toby Collier was actually in the squad, so actually I might be right with that being only 2. I think he was as part of the bench in that FA Cup finals, but nonetheless, maybe he has a more progressive role in the team on tomorrow afternoon. So something to look out for. Something very much to look out for. An intriguing game, to be fair, though I'm not feeling too hot with it. I'm not feeling too hot. I think in terms of the momentum that the club's generated through the summer transfer window, I think a lot of fans are going into this game feeling like it's a little bit cold. A little bit cold in the red side of Manchester with the transfer front. However, I say that there is a little segment that we will dedicate to transfer talk because, as per what we were feeling at the beginning part of this week, it seems to have more or less done a 180. That the heat is starting to come back, and I think because we're so late in the transfer window, I think things are going to be a bit more decisive with the club and how they're going to go about doing business. Big welcomes to Arsenal Manic. Hello, Fuzzy. Hello, Arsenal Manic. How we doing? Hope all is good with you. Congratulations on the trim. I know I survived. I'm a survivor. Look at that. Super short this time. Because usually I have it a little bit longer on the top so it can be sort of played around a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting. Going to be nice and cool. Nice and cool. A bit more streamlined so I can walk faster, a little bit less drag. I can overtake people, slow people on the streets quicker. Get me some DRS as well, tactical razor and just shave off the back bit. That'll be some downforce reduction. Big up us, mate. Always see you on Early Doors Football TV. Big up to him too. Top guy, 100%. Big up to Michael Chelsea FC. Welcome into the stream, as I believe it's the first time you're over here. But yes, absolutely, 100% big ups to Tony. Big Man Ting, West Ham supporter, and also on road to 400 subscribers. And then after that, it's on to monetization for him at 500, half a K. That's just around the corner. More than likely, I think probably, certainly, definitely across this coming season that he'll hit 500, maybe even at the stretch. If we hit the traction sweet spot, hey, maybe he gets 1,000 as well. So, big shout outs to Early Doors Football TV, and yeah, all the fantastic work that he does with his channel as well. So big ups to him. 100% real, recognizes real. Cheers, guys. on the coke today, so don't tell Pepsi Pack, because otherwise you'll unsub from my channel. Not if he's already done that already, because he knows that I do like to drink my coke. Actually, then again, I was drinking Pepsi yesterday, so he shouldn't unsub from my channel. It's just a flavour of the day thing. When are you due a podcast with Chuckle Brothers? Sunday? Yeah, I should be around on the Sunday night takeaway show, but maybe depends on what happens with this Community Shield game. Maybe I stick a new background on just to take the ever loving piss out of Anthony with his last year's FA Community Shield win. Um, and yeah, let's milk it. The glorified dinner plate trophy. Not really a trophy; it's just a shield. It's sort of like a pose with the shield guys and smile for the camera. They take the photo ops and then they disappear for a season. And that's pretty much the fundamentals of it. It doesn't really go down in history as a grand honor, but you know, fan bases each to their own. They know what they want to make of it. So I'll leave them to it, I suppose. But if it's a jovial mood, if it's some jovial stuff going on, then maybe the post match we have some people on. Quite possibly, we'll have to see. But definitely on the Sunday night takeaway show. Do you think either team will take it seriously tomorrow, or is this game going to have more about fitness? I think there's a little bit of both. I think it's sort of like the fixture, as I alluded to earlier, that you don't really want to disappoint in any fixture, regardless of what the stakes are. You don't really want to, play against Man City in first gear and just not really turn up and get rolled over or anything. You do want to make a good account of yourself. So I'd expect there to be a little bit of feistiness to it, but I wouldn't say anywhere near, say, the intensity or the ferocity of a Premier League Manchester derby or a cup final Manchester derby. I would expect it to be a little bit sort of played in the third gear, um, from both sides, because I think Man City as well, they don't necessarily start their season campaigns the quickest. So maybe a bit of sluggishness, I think, from both teams, and a few key players missing from the City side as well as the Man United side. So yeah, I think both teams will be missing a little bit of something tomorrow, but not to fault the quality of the players that are there still. But it shall be intriguing tomorrow. Hopefully, it's not one that's going to be an absolute battering, because I suppose if we're in a position of, Manchester United trying to overcome the test of Manchester City by just, giving them another L, the second two losses to Manchester City at Wembley in a row within the same calendar year, it's a leg up type of thing for them. So I can expect Manchester United to want to have a little bit of fire, to want to compete and win that game. I've been my own barber for 10 years. Oh, really? What sort of hairstyle do you go with? Is it mohawks? Is it bowl cut? Is it just bald? Do you get the waxing strips out and just do it that way? Can you imagine that? A waxing cap. They stick it on your head and then they just grab it and take half of your scalp with you. But yeah. Hi, what's up, Fuzz? Big ups, Rajat. Long time no see in the channel. But hope all is well with you. Get Hermoso, Mazraoui, and De Ligt to come. Well, it's an interesting thing with Hermoso, because that was a little bit of a breaking story. And Hermoso, potentially free, I think it was like free transfer for the 29-year-olds. Good experience in a top league in La Liga. Various qualities to him. But would it fit the profile? Would it fit what the manager really wants specifically, or is it one of those where it's well, if De Ligt really cannot happen, that's where we'll go to. Now, I think Hermoso is, a decent centre back. I do. I think he's a decent centre back, 29 years of age. I thought he was in his 30s, like 31, 32, but 29 years of age. Can also play at left back as well. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because it's, not just the mention of Hermoso with the centre back options, but also somebody from a Turkish source was talking about representatives having conversations with Kadioglu's his his team. So there's a lot of gears starting to spin into life again now. So as to what this what legitimacy there is to these stories, I've no real clue. I think maybe it's just another case of paper talk, quite possibly just paper talk. Um, Opinion about Tadebo's move to a pretty good West Ham team. As you know what, I mean, Tadebo, Jean-Claude Tadebo, would be big fair plays to West Ham if they were to hijack that move. Because I think for a long time this summer transfer window, Tadebo's definitely had his focus fixated on Juve. So for them, it's a bit like it's a little bit similar into the happenings of what went on with Lenny Yoro, where the guy's ready to go to one club and just one club only until Man United's put a decent offer on the table, the club's accepted, but he needed to sell the project. And maybe if West Ham are to really convince Tadebo to turn around, change his mind, and say, well, actually, I think West Ham might be a good shout. Um, I think it would be a good move for West Ham. It would be a very good move, and they do need some extra life, fresh legs in their defence, and Tadebo would provide that. Good age, good ability, good pace. He's got quite a lot of he's got a lot of good qualities about him that I think would fit quite nicely into the West Ham setup. Big up Hoffers, aka Mr. Clean. Now I'm not quite Mr. Clean, Tony. I'm not quite Mr. Clean. I've still got this here. If Man United win the league, right? Just for a hypothetical sake, if they win the league, then maybe I do become Mr. Clean, quite literally. Shave all of this off. Just go bald as a Premier League celebration. Literally just bald fuzz. Clip it up. Keep the receipts. Stick them in a filing cabinet somewhere for the next 9-10 months. Could bring it back to me. If Man United win the league, K-Fuzz, guess what? Fuck you that Man United's won the league, but hey, this receipt here says that you'd shave your head if your club won the Premier League. Imagine that. Imagine that. Big up stars on Manic. Facts. Ait Nouri, good left back. He's all right. He's what you call just the straight middle of the park type Prem proven player. A bit like Kilman to me. I don't necessarily think Kilman was a fantastic player, but just Prem proven, and he's all right. You know what I mean? Just like they're all right. They're okay. They're all right. You have them in your team playing week in, week out. They'll put in some good performances for you. They won't be the standout performer that puts you into places far and away beyond expectation, but they are solid in doing their job. Probably if you are a club that progresses and actually pushes yourself up the table, that's the sort of player that if he drops into being your backup or reserves, that's the sort of quality that you want to have as the backup. But he's in the team essentially to start for West Ham at the moment. So I imagine if Todibo goes in there, whether Todibo benches Kilman or whether Kilman plays alongside him, who knows? But a lot of hypotheticals. Surely Man United's target's top four. Anything else would be failure, right? The intent is to put us into Champions League, because that's essentially the focus. Get us into good positions in the league, so that we are competing at the highest level, maximizing the income in terms of acumen on the pitch, whilst then achieving cup success. I think it's what Manchester United Football Club should be doing. Whether we will end up doing that this season, I think, is yet to be seen. But from my standpoint, watching how we've gone through the summer transfer window, if we were to finish this summer really coldly, I don't think we're doing anything special at all. I think it would be another season potentially of mid-table mediocrity. But less of that. We want to get our targets in before the end of the window. I know that the league starts next weekend, and Man United not necessarily prepared for it. So maybe we drop some points at the start because we are not fully investing right away. And I think, if we fall short of targets, seasonal end of season targets by 3-6 points, we will say, well, that's what happens when you fail to prepare to fail. That's how football works. Big up West Ham already making big moves right now. Oh yeah, 100%. They are. I think it's easy to say that they have essentially conquered the window out of all the Prem teams. West Ham specifically, I think Aston Villa have had a pretty good transfer window. I think Chelsea, with their latest signing, Pedro Neto, like, to be honest, I was thinking, what in the fuck are Chelsea doing with all of these signings and nobody really standing out? I'm thinking, well, they're not really learning from anything here. This Pedro Neto deal was not one that I had anticipated happening. So, out of nowhere, straight away, genuinely decent starter in your starting 11 week in, week out. Injury concerns are its own issue that, I'm sure you'll take care of when it comes to it. But from a quality standpoint, quality perspective, not just Prem proven, but one of the best performing in the league. So very easily, you've solved a big creativity issue in your team. You're great for creativity and also a potent finisher as well when he gets the opportunities. A massive upgrade to what's his face? It's is it Mudryk or Madueke? I think Mudryk. If it's Mudryk, then massive upgrade on Mudryk. Huge, gargantuan upgrade on Mudryk. So yeah, brilliant signing on Chelsea's part. He confirmed to West Ham already, done deal. Well, fair plays to West Ham then. Moving mad. All right, man. Thanks for dropping by my channel. Smash the likes and subscribe, everyone. Facts. Big ups to Old School Gunner. Big ups to Dave. Sorry that I know your name, Dave. But yeah, big ups to Dave. Also, do be sure, as he's alluded to, subscribing to my channel. Also, spread the love, share the love. Do be sure also to subscribe to Old School Gunner if you haven't done so already. As the hint to the name should show to what club he supports, and with Arsenal's transfer hopes at the moment, the sign to Maldini regen, maybe that's all they need for title glory. I don't think so. Maybe signing Mikel Arteta's cousin, title glory? I don't know. Signing another dog might just be the play. Or a cat. Signing a cat. Can't go wrong with a bit of pussy around the training ground. Performance issues, though, to be fair. Performance issues. Big up Fuzzy. Who cut your hair? Give Tom their name and number. He'll get your money back. Once again, he insults my mother. He insults my mother. Can he be? Can he be? But big ups to Anthony but good to see you. Hope all is well with you. Juventus can't get the money together. Todibo should be announced either today or tomorrow. Loan option to buy 35 million. Well, I'll tell you what, you get Todibo in on loan with the option then to buy. You get the best of all worlds with that, because you get a quality player in Todibo. You fix a package deal, which is actually great value for Todibo, because Man United were probably looking at about £40 million initially when we started wanting to do negotiations before UEFA decided none of that, thank you. So yeah, I think 35 million for yourselves would be a fantastic steal, but it'd be even better if you have him on loan and he performs well, makes it all the worthwhile. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Kadioglu looks very good. He's versatile as well. It would be a signing that I would definitely like to make. Only issue is that we've still got priority targets that we've still not signed yet. So Kadioglu, I think at best, if this deal materializes, I'm looking at deadline day. I'm genuinely looking at deadline day as the day that deal gets done. There's also the talks that they still want to sign a second midfielder after the priority target, which so happens to be Agate. So, yeah, I mean, this has been a bit of a weird week, because they started the week by saying, well, as it stands, all the deals are off. All of them. Like, they've all gone cold. Get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time, and everything's back on again. Wan-Bissaka apparently is about that close to agreeing the compensation package for him to leave to West Ham, and the fees are practically there fee agreements are practically there between clubs. So Wan-Bissaka could be gone over this weekend. He should be gone over this weekend, and because that would happen, Mazraoui would happen. De Ligt, I think they've already said they would like to probably push to just sign outright, regardless of what happens to Lindelof and Maguire, and or maybe what they'll choose to do is just to guarantee getting the signing done, whilst then, looking at the deals for outgoings for either or of those players. With Lindelof, not being fit, he's not travelled for this game tomorrow. Along with a host of other people, including Luke Shaw, which is it's baffling, his fitness to me. Luke Shaw's fitness is just, it's weird. It's so weird. But yeah, facts with Kadioglu. I think at the moment it still sort of sits at paper talk stage. Aim is top 4 or 5. Well, technically speaking, aim is to win everything, win Prem, win whichever competition it is you're in. We're in Europa League, so win Europa League. If we end up finishing league-wise outside of top 4, then, it piles absolutely every ounce of pressure on winning Europa League for the sake of qualifying for Champions League. Much like we're pretty much out of Europe altogether. Out of Europe altogether. In the league finishing standpoint. Then we played the FA Cup and beat Man City, the unbeatable Man City at that point. And, leapfrogged 2 clubs to get into Europa League position. So, it's not the ideal thing. It's not what you want to do, but it's a necessity, if not for winning the trophies for the glory's sake of things, but winning it for the sake of getting or to solidifying qualifications for the premium competitions in Europe. Yeah, to see that, I can see Pedro Neto coming at all. To be honest, hoping for Osimhen next, and that's the thing with Chelsea this season, this summer transfer window. This happened for most of their deals. Is that you don't see it coming. You see the first talks begin, and then within a couple of hours later, it's already a here we go via Fabrizio Romano. And the deal's practically done. And you're like, well, Chelsea are operating with a tenacity, right, that not really any clubs at the moment can live with. Nobody else can really live with that. And especially if they've got as much money as they have. What's a real big shame is that Chelsea, they can do all of those deals. I feel like they're signing way too many players that don't make that team, that much better. Pedro Neto is a sort of caliber of signing that Chelsea should be making that improves their creativity and actually puts a solid player out in the wide positions. What about a solid striker? The Osimhen deal would be an ideal sort of grade of signing to go for. But do they have the want to chase quite a big money deal like that? Because they've got the efficiency in doing the deals and getting them done. There's a huge amount of signings, huge amount of signings. To be honest, I don't know why. For instance, they're plotting so many deals. I don't really know why they're stockpiling. It genuinely does feel like Chelsea are stockpiling players because something's going to happen. I don't know about you guys. I don't know what you think about that, but it genuinely does feel like Chelsea Football Club are just mass signing that many players. Like, for instance, their goalkeepers. I didn't realise just how many goalkeepers they had somewhere in around their first team setup. Was about 7, 8 goalkeepers around the first team setup in the training program, supposedly. If that's true, now, Michael, you might be able to verify that. But if there's truth to that, what in the hell? We're barely getting 3. We barely got 3. We got Onana. Bendy is somewhere. I don't know where he is. I think he's literally come back and he's travelling for tomorrow's game. And then there's Tom Heaton. You've got a couple of academy goalkeepers that are going facing loan deals or playing in youth football next season. But man, Christ, that many players is crazy. De Gea is going to Fiorentina as well. I'm happy for him. I am absolutely happy for him. And to a decent level, because you spend a year out of football, and fair plays to him. Gets a contract at Fiorentina. I think he'll do a good job for them. I hope he does a good job. Because it'll be big things for David. Same here. It's another Arsenal target slipped through their fingers, and that's the thing. Arsenal, what's their alternative to Pedro Neto? What other wingers out there that are on the market? What can they get that's sufficient? He's probably Chelsea's best winger. Oh, he is. Pedro Neto immediately becomes the best winger at Chelsea Football Club. Immediately. Miles better than Mudryk, miles better than Madueke, and miles better than Raheem Sterling. Streets ahead of all 3 of them. Solid player. Eddie Nketiah gone to Marseille on loan with an option to buy for 25 million. Wish he went to West Ham. Oh, bless. But yeah, man, loan deal with an option. Okay, he's off the books for a year, but That's that little word right there. Option. Why not sell him now to finance the striker move? Would that not be more practical in the long run for Arsenal, rather than loan a player out? Because you don't really get a fee for that, and it's an option. So he might bomb or tank. He might bomb it out at Marseille, and they'll just like, yeah, give them to us, give them to us. We'll pay it early. We'll pay this clause early. Or he tanks, because Marseille, to be fair to them, they're practically like they're doing a West Ham in the French league. Yeah, they're genuinely moving mad. They're signing all sorts of players, but a loan with an option, not obligation, option to buy. So he might end up coming straight back to North London, and then you've got another year that's gone where you're having to figure out what to do with Eddie Nketiah. That's something that's not beneficial to the future of Arsenal Football Club and their team. It's not beneficial. Oh, good. Thanks, Anthony. Need to sign Benitez as Arteta's assistant coach. Can you imagine that? Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez. Bloody hell. As an assistant manager. Anthony, you're lying. Has he really gone? Can't see Marseille wanting to pay 25 million for Nketiah. Well, they might have wanted to have paid that for him this summer, but I couldn't imagine them wanting to pay guaranteed next summer because of the options there. It's not guaranteed. There's not an obligation. So it's not the most efficient, or not efficient, but economically beneficial business for Arsenal this summer. Will Bayern Munich get Tah as centre back? From the last I've heard about that move is that they've sort of called any interest on signing the player, because supposedly the deal with Leverkusen was that they would sign the player and get him done and over the line once the sale of De Ligt was finalised. But because Bayern are sort of holding that up by wanting to be stubborn and hard-nosed, hardball with the fees, it's killed a lot of time and a lot of momentum, and perhaps they've sort of thought about it and gone, well, maybe not. So I mean, that might 180. There might be an update out there that I've not read yet that they're saying, well, yeah, 100%. I think it's getting closer to the point where I think Bayern might feel the need to end up compromising on that fee and saying, well, yeah, the bigger picture here is that Tah's become a target for company. We need to sort these players out, and maybe we don't get all the things exactly the way we want it, but business is getting done. Business is being done, and at the end of the day, if I'm a director of football, in terms of doing good business, of course I've got to do a good job. I absolutely have to. I can't do a Murtough job or a Richard Arnold job. I've got to do a good job. I've got to do a genuinely good job. But I need to do the job. I need to do business. So, as long as the compromise doesn't lose out too much, I think there has to be a little bit of give there. Wow, finally, Anthony. Celebrations in North London. Yeah, fuzzy deal between Man United and Hammers close, which it needs to happen. It needs to happen. Fuzz, is this you or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory? Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm quite as smart as a Sheldon character. I'm not as smart as him. I'm smarter. But in all fairness, I mean, it's sort of that type of cut, isn't it? A bit of a buzz cut there, but I don't mind it. I like it. I do like it. Um, Keeps I'll feel the air on my scalp a little bit. I mean, it's still, ironically, it's still longer than yours, Anthony. Just giving me a buzz cut, and it's still longer hair than you. Need to upgrade centre backs. CFC needs to rebuild the back line. I do think they need a bit more experience in the defensive department, because I do find that it's quite young, and if it's a younger back line, I think there's not quite as much intelligence in the back line in dealing with um, various threats. And I think one of the most obvious outstanding threats for Chelsea next season is that the football might be a bit more slick in the build-up in the attacking departments, but dealing with the threat in the defensive capacity, it's not going too well. It's not going well at all. So there's a lot of thinking to do with Chelsea's remaining days in the transfer window as to where they've got the focus currently positioned. Because I think Cucurella, decent fullback when the ball's at his feet, but needs to have some good defensive cover. Wesley Fofana, good pace. I think Wesley Fofana is probably the quality, from a quality standpoint, probably the best out of all of them. I think Disasi's a little bit slow, but solid. When the play comes right down his channel. I think Trevor Chalobah, underrated. I think he's got a good bit of ability about him, but is it quite the level of quality that Chelsea needs to really go to the next level? And then there's Badiashile, that I think is having troubles with finding his feet at the moment, and a little bit out of form coming into the season. So there's work to be done. It's all these other deals we make, such as Gabriel Meck and Mike Penders and all these other kids. Yeah, those sort of deals, and for good money as well, by the way. Good money is being spent for these players, and it's a little bit concerning that so many of these deals are being done for these higher fees, comparatively to what, say, their market value actually is. And I'm wondering if, because they're doing all of these deals with all of these more remote clubs for these fringe players, that all of these clubs are going to get the wrong idea by saying, well, Prem teams bid this amount for that player from our league. Well, cool. If you're going to come to buy players from us, we want the same sort of fee. Where in reality, a decent club could negotiate and probably have the fee, instead of signing a player for about 35 mil, you're signing for about 15. Because, out in those countries, clubs out there, any source of money coming in would be instrumental, monumental for them. So, rather than giving them a clear shot at demanding that much more, let's call the money plays. Play Ruiz left wing. I don't really know which Ruiz that is. I think that's a Chelsea player. Literally, if it is a Chelsea player, then that just says it all. Because usually with significant names, I can actually pick out what team has what players in it. But with Chelsea, they've just signed so many players. I genuinely don't know most of what some of the names that they've signed and some of the players in their setup. I genuinely don't know. We've got 45 players on the books, and it's frankly ridiculous. I know there's limitations on loan deals. No, we can't send all the kids all these kids to Strasbourg. Well, yeah, 45 players on the books. I mean, bloody hell. People talk about, squad sizes about 25. 25, that's an extra 20 players. 20 players above the small squad sizes. For example, the Arsenal squad. Arteta likes a thin squad, about 25 players. My guys, Chelsea have gone and almost doubled that. They've genuinely almost gone and doubled it. At least the only beneficial aspect to it is if half of them get injured, hey, at least you've still got a full squad. When they loan, both Marseille and Arsenal have to split wages to Eddie. So even then, Arsenal's still having to pay significant wages because he's on 100k at full wage at Arsenal. So yeah, problems there still. Back in the day, we used to send 15 players out on loan, but that can't be done anymore. Yeah, I think whether it's rules or regulation changes, or whether it's to do with the ownership, I can't imagine the ownership of Chelsea quite would do that sort of thing anymore, where they loan huge amounts of players and then when they will come back, you pick out the ones you're keeping and then you sell the rest. But the players that you loan out, you loan to the right clubs. And I think it is a skill. It is genuinely a skill if you are able to pick out the players in your setup and send them out to the right clubs, to having knowledge of which club, which setup, which setting, environment is going to be the best for that player and sending them there. I think I do genuinely think it is a skill to have. One of which I think there's too many clubs. I think Man City have got the skill with that. Man City have got the skill with knowing exactly where to loan players out to. Clubs like Real Madrid have got that sort of thing on lock. I don't know that many more clubs that are that great with. I think Chelsea had it, definitely had it, because there's quite a few players that used to come from Chelsea that are sort of in top level football at the moment, doing bits for their clubs. And you look back and say, well, which club did they come from? Oh, they came from Chelsea. They're a Chelsea academy graduate. And you think, well, damn, fair plays. Get Aaron Wan-Bissaka as West Ham signing today, tomorrow, Max. If we honestly, I don't know if Wan-Bissaka actually travelled. I don't think he travelled in the squad today. So yeah, the issue that was holding up the transfer wall for Wan-Bissaka is close to being resolved. But yeah, I don't think he has travelled to Wembley tomorrow. So if he hasn't, then yeah, that deal might happen. That could happen tonight, could happen tomorrow. So yeah, that's factual, which is good. It's good for Manchester United because it moves things along. And because you get an exit, Wan-Bissaka going to West Ham, maybe that's the start of the domino effect that Man United need to get players encouraged. Yeah, the football isn't going to come here, but when Aaron's gone to West Ham, I can do the same. I can go to a club that's relative to my level and actually find good minutes there. And it's a move that works. It makes sense. I get, benefits out of it. Man United get benefits. The club that I'm going to get benefits. Like, everyone's a winner. And I think that's sort of the point where I'm hoping this is what happens. I'm hoping that we start to see the ball start to get rolling. People are saying, a lot of sources are saying, well, Man United might have had a bit of a drought across mid to late July, early August, but things are starting to heat up again, and now we're at the point where it's now or never for a lot of these decisions, and big decisions at that. So let's see it from Manchester United. Let's see us get deals we got to do, because we're at the point where any new signings we make, are very much prone to missing out actual official competitive football for the club. So it matters. It really matters getting deals done, and if we can do a deal over this weekend. If we do a deal over this weekend, that'll be big. It'll be big stuff, because of course, as long as he's holding up the shirt by at least Tuesday, Wednesday, all of these players that we're looking at now have been doing some training for their other clubs. Probably not involved in matchday squads, but they're training. Their fitness is getting there. So maybe not playing or starting games, but they'll be there on the squad. And that's important, that they're training in there with the squad, so that we're getting them sooner or later. We'll be in and out watching Fuzzy. No worries, Tont. But I do appreciate you being in here and watching when you are here. Jaminho, hello, Fuzz. How are we doing, Jaminho? Hope all is good with you. Head over to the chat. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow on Man City versus Man United game. Good stuff. Be sure to go check that out, people in the chat. Mike, you heard it here first. Michael, Chelsea FC, it will be doing a watch along for the game tomorrow. I've got a massive family function around this house, so I can't necessarily do any watch alongs for it myself, which is a shame. But maybe over this season we'll have some watch alongs, and especially if I can get a switch up of career choice and have all my weekends free, then maybe you'll see a lot of watch alongs coming up this season for Man United, which would be most interesting indeed. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. On my channel, michael.chelseafc. Yes, go find that stuff there. Go find all of that content for your watch alongs and other Chelsea stuff. michael.chelseafc. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Good Hot Fuzz. How are you? I'm doing well. We are freshly shaven. To be fair, I look like a bit of a thumb. Minus this on the top, I'd look like a solid thumb. A big thumb. See, look, this is me. This is my little brother. See this little brother? Hello. I'm Mini Fuzz 22. Yeah, need to give him a little buzz cut, a little bowl cut. Give him a little bowl cut. There you go, family of thumbs. But less of that. But is McShite going to be starting tomorrow? I don't think he will start. I think definitely a bench player, because that's kind of the capacity to which he had in terms of squad role last season, and I think this season will have to be the same. But I'm hoping, as I've just alluded to with the Wan-Bissaka stuff, that if that deal happens, it starts the snowball effect. Everything starts happening. Scott McTominay gets another deal on the table. Man United go, yeah, that works for us. Here you go. Take the player. McTominay leaves. Agate comes in. We get okay, we've got a compromise. We'll do the deal with you, United. Agate comes in. That's the McTominay replacement sorted, and you slot straight into the first team. De Ligt comes in. Lindelof probably goes. To be honest, I think he's the most likeliest candidate out the door. Lindelof will be gone before the summer's out. So at the moment, this summer transfer window is quite honestly trash. Just genuinely horrendous from Manchester United. It could honestly go from being one of the worst transfer windows on record for United to one of the better transfer windows on record for the club's history. That's a lot can change in such a sort of three quarters of a month. I think it is that we've got left before the transfer window is shut. I'm hoping that this Man City game is the last game that McTominay plays a squad role in. So, yeah. Fuzzy score prediction for tomorrow. I'm going 2-2 United win on pens. I will go, judging by the squad news, I'll probably say Man City would probably win, like 2-1 or something. I don't really see why. It could be, I think 2-1's the score to go with, but both teams very much level capabilities of achieving it. Yeah, I think if City win, it's probably to do with Manchester United players that shouldn't be here, or individual performances are not good enough. They'll punish where we're lacking, the areas where we're lacking. But equally, Man City missing key players in their squad. Maybe they're a bit toothless. Maybe the main spine of Rodri is not going to be available. So maybe the midfield is a little bit easier to play through. Joshua Zirkzee, if he starts tomorrow, he becomes more of the creative target man. Brings the wingers, whoever's playing on the wings, into play. I think there's there could be goals to be had here. I think where Rodri won't be occupying the space in that area of the pitch, there's not really the perfect replacement to fill that crucial role. So they're going to probably have to spread the tasks between a couple of players, which then in turn may switches the balance in the midfield slightly. Maybe that pays a price on their creativity. Maybe it pays a price on the patterns of play. So there's a lot of question marks with Manchester City, and how much they turn up tomorrow. Same can be said for Man United, because we still got Casemiro, and as Jamigo's here, McShite's still available. McTominay still in and around the squad. Eriksen supposedly it's alluded to wanting to see out his last year at the club, just to see out the contract and leave on a free agency next summer. That's not ideal for us. But what can you do? I'd say challenge player ambitions. But if you're a player with a year left in your contract and you're comfortable, and it's a prominent club, your wages are good, even if you don't really play that much, you'd sit nice and savvy. You'd sit nice and savvy, nice and comfortable, feet kicked up, and then work hard towards the tail end of that season, because when you hit free agency, that's it. You've got to think about what the next step is. McShane needs to be cut from the payroll before anything else. What does he offer other than the occasional campaigning in the box, camping in the box and scoring the odd goal here or there for PR? My thing with McTominay is when he goes, that all the people that start crying about it, saying, "Oh, he was a fantastic servant to the club. He offered so much for this team." The player FC, the player apologists in the fan base, I think is going to be glorious. I think it's going to be glorious seeing the tears all around the world for those that absolutely adored this player. It's like those that call Wan-Bissaka a bum, but then on their social timelines, they 180 it and say, "Why are we selling Wan-Bissaka? He's a great backup." You weren't saying he was a great backup during the season whilst he was playing. You were saying the guy wouldn't get into another Premier League team, even on Burnley's worst day or Luton's worst day. So or Sheffield United's worst day. So you can't have your cake and eat it, right? The player apologist, player FC, you can't have your cake and eat it. The proper fans of football clubs will see a player come and go in the door and straight back out the door. And the focus has never waned away from the club, because the club is the picture frame. The players and all of that is what's in that picture frame. They're details. They're just details. You change details all the time. You can't have a picture without the picture frame there. You can't. It just wouldn't exist. So the club is above all else the fundamental focus. If McTominay leaves this club, I will say thanks for your services. You weren't good enough to get us to the next levels of where we needed to go. Hope you find success in your career and your future ventures. But we're Manchester United. We've got bigger and better things to be doing. And that's where we've got to draw the line. Hermosa, any news, Fuzzy, on him? Well, I knew that we'd started, talking about, putting out feelers. I'd say is the stage that we're with Hermosa. Just feelers, a bit like Hadioglu, just putting feelers out to their representatives and saying, well, come back to us, right? What you would expect from us if we were to generate the interest in you or register our interest. What would your terms be? Give us a blueprint. Give us an outline. I hope he never leaves. Well, I hope Tottenham Hotspur sign him. If Fulham won't sign him, then Tottenham can. McTominay is the footballing equivalent of a bird poo sandwich. You speaking from experience, Shaminia? Was that an experience that you would wish to forget? Tell you what, seaside delicacy, the roughage of seagull excrement. And speaking of Tottenham, now that I've gone on to this, thoughts on Solanke to Tottenham for 65 million. What the absolute hell is Daniel Levy thinking? Dominic Solanke. And Dominic Solanke, the player, is not that bad. He's not that bad. It was all right. It's an all right signing. But you don't pay 65 million for him. You just don't. I wouldn't have looked at half of that price. He's a sort of player that you do a £20 million deal for. And he becomes a player you rotate with. And I see there's fans that try to justify it and say, well, look, he'll do fantastic things. He's proper Ange Postecoglou signing. I'm like, statistically speaking, and this is a stat that I did pick up on, and it just makes no sense as to why this would be the sort of player you go look for. Tottenham have a serious issue, right, with turning over ball possession a ridiculous amount more than most other clubs, right? And Dominic Solanke, though he cuts the figure as a player that would be great to hold up the play, bring teammates in, he looks physical. He looks like a great aerial presence up top. He looks like he could do the job that no one really wants to do. But he loses apparently with I got these stats. Apparently it's from Football Heritage TV done by Sava, right? Go check out the channel. Good stuff. Genuine, respectable Tottenham supporter. In terms of ball losses, possession losses, right? I think it was the season before last. He was the fourth highest number of possession losses for a striker. So fourth highest out of anybody else in the league. And then last season, he was the highest. He lost the ball up top more times than any other striker did in the league. Tottenham, a club that play risk. Risk is their middle name. We're going to lose the ball a huge amount next season. Is Dominic Solanke losing the ball that many times going to provide Tottenham with one too many hot potatoes to handle, to juggle with? Because if you're, and pre-season Tottenham looked really bare at the back. Too much exposure and no real width in coverage in the defensive capacities either. So where they've got two fullbacks on the team sheet, supposedly both of them invert and both of them go forwards and play in the sort of build-up aspect of the game. The two centre-backs sit back and nobody else hovers in that area of the pitch, which is also concerning, because, you need a midfield or a midfielder who can play in play as the insurance player who plays in that position. And that's what Man United had the problem with last season, is that we had defensive midfielders, but the back line sat so deep, the spacing behind the midfielders, it took one ball to bypass a midfielder, but the defence was not close enough to cut off the pass. So if the defence of Man United pushes up and comes closer to midfield, the ball that beats the midfielder gets cut out by the centre-back. There isn't the space for the player in attacking areas to get onto it. Tottenham don't have the six to play that efficiently and effectively. They don't have the player for it. I'm hoping they get Scott McTominay so they can have a six. There's not really a six. It's not really ideal for any position, but even still. But then to try and make Scott McTominay be that player, but he doesn't really track runners either, so he'd literally be an absolute calamity for Tottenham in that team. But more the reason why I want to see it happen. But yeah, that's the reality of the situation for Tottenham, is that they're signing a player in the striking department again, yet still they've not replaced Harry Kane, even though I'm sure they've got more than enough money. I mean, they spent £65 million. Harry Kane went for about £40 million more. Sorry, less than that, in fact. That's crazy to think about. Dominic Solanke, Mr. Purple Patch from last season. I mean, Marcus Rashford had a Purple Patch season. What was it? 2 seasons ago? Season before last. Purple Patch, 30 goals. After that, what did he do? Dominic Solanke, though he's had a good season last season, we can't take that away from him, does what he's done for Bournemouth last season. Does that translate into results for Tottenham this season? I don't believe it does. I genuinely don't believe it does. He scored 19 goals or 19 league goals last season. Good stats. It is good stats. It is very good stats for the Premier League. However, we sort of go back to whether that translates into a Tottenham team that play where Bournemouth, they'll play some attacking stuff, fair plays to them. They do play some attacking stuff. But they're not necessarily a team that overcommits in attacking areas of the pitch. Tottenham do. Tottenham very much do. So two things about that Tottenham team that might come to pass. Dominic Solanke might bag a lot of goals for Tottenham. He might bag a lot of goals. But for 90 minutes, every time he loses the ball, with how open that Tottenham team is at the back and without real midfield security, how many times does Dominic Solanke losing the ball put Tottenham in a really bad position. How many times? That's the thing that I would want to pay attention to very closely. Because I don't feel like that Tottenham team is necessarily tactically set up in a way that is, it's risky football going forwards, but there is a plan to cover all bases here, right? If we lose the ball a bit too easily, somebody is there covering a critical position, cut out the danger before the danger grows a bit too precarious. Or a bit too precarious, no, a bit too something else. A bit too hot to handle. As long as, and I suppose that's the thing with Man United this season. Although the defensive midfielders are not necessarily good enough, barring Kobbie Mainoo, of course. I mean, Kobbie Mainoo, Toby Collier might come good for United this season. As long as the defensive line pushes higher, push the defensive line higher up the pitch and close the gap to the midfielders. That's the only way that Manchester United will improve their football quality. The only way. Even against Liverpool, I mean, we lost 3-0, right? But I felt like we did, from what I had seen, I felt like we did a lot with the ball. But in terms of being in front of goal, same problems as before, quite wasteful with our chances. Well, if we're creating a lot of chances, you're bound to take them. I mean, Xerxes, you're adding Xerxes, so you'll probably get a lot of opportunities to find some goals here or there. Amad Diallo, good avid goal threat coming in from the right hand side. Anthony, I'm not saying Anthony's dangerous at all, but supposedly word has it on the street that he's been told this season, stop thinking about cutting inside and shooting as your only option. Start playing outside the fullback and use your right foot some more. Create more. Be a creative player. So again, this sort of becomes a bit less of he's just the inverted forward, and actually becomes more of a winger. So maybe that's part of the new Ten Hag system this season. Less about inverted forwards, more about wingers that have got creativity in them. I don't think we've got the players that have got, a lot of creative ability, but as long as the intent is there and you can see that there's something to be worked with there, then it definitely makes going into following transfer windows easier to identify the players that you do need. So there is always that. But yeah, aside from that, hopefully this season, the football game plan actually comes good. I'm hoping. But anyways, I think as far as a score prediction, so I believe it. I'll go with a 2-1. I couldn't actually pick exactly who is going to win. Let's say, because I'm a Man United supporter, let's go with a Man United 2-1 win. Yeah, it's a repeat of the Wembley FA Cup final. Let's go with the same repeat result there. In before I get absolutely bantered to the next into next week with Man United getting smashed up by City or something. But I think that's probably the way. That's the way I'll predict the game going. But guys, leave your thoughts and your feelings in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit the like button on the way out, or if you're watching on playback, to hit the like button if you are watching. And subscribing if you haven't done so already. If you are new to the channel, subscriptions are very much appreciated, but any other forms of support also very, very much welcome and very, very much appreciated. So big thank yous to everybody that does also commit to the support of the channel. It's been lovely seeing everybody in the chat, and yeah, that's it from me for tonight. Back again tomorrow, post-match reaction, I'm sure of it. And yeah, and then we'll have the Sunday night takeaway show on the Sunday. So if we find glory, then I'll be sure to gloat. If we find misery, I'll be sure to hide and cry and go AWOL. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and we'll be back again tomorrow post-match reaction for the Community Shield. See you guys over there. Take care, goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your Friday nights, whatever you aim to be doing or however it is you're spending them. Here comes the weekend, people. Here comes the weekend.